I work as a speech and presentation coach in Dutch television and NOS, RTL, and others. And I teach people how to work in front of the camera, to speak on the radio, and how to do that with making a good impression. Also, I work as a speech pathologist from since 1994, and since 1995, that's a long time ago, I work in companies also like healthcare, insurance companies, banking, who work with customer contact. So I teach people who have to phone all day how to use their voice and why people like a voice or not, and how to train their voice doing that. Also, some people living in the Netherlands, they know my voice from the train station. Vergeet niet uit te checken na het uitstappen. Or you know my voice by KPN, the English voice that's, when you press 1, press 2, press 3, you know those voices. They're all the same. Okay. Today, I'd like to tell you a couple of things from my studio. And I'm sitting in Enschede. Enschede is the east side of the Netherlands. And that's the studio around me we use for all kinds of purpose. For example, making programs, broadcasting, but also very much every day I train people online all over the world, so in English and Dutch. And today I'd like to tell you for about 45 minutes about making that first impression with your voice and presentation. But then I'd like to give you a chance to ask your own question or ask me anything you like, because I like the interaction. And yeah, it would be a shame if you don't ask a question that in your head, or you want to know, you would have known all your life, but this is your chance, so ask. Okay, I'll take you to this schedule beside me, making that first impression. It's all about 1 second and 7 seconds, and that is so very short. I know it's so short, but after 1 second, people decide if they like listening to you or not. After 1 second, they decide if they trust your voice, if they like your voice, if they think your voice is trustworthy, credibility. That depends on only one important difference. I'm going to tell you about it. In Glasgow, there was a research in England, and people had to say hello. That's all they had to say. And a group had to judge their voice, if those voices were comfortable, they liked their voices or not. And it showed that after 1 second, people decided that they trusted a voice or not. And the difference was in this: an open, relaxed voice with a lower, warm sound is more trustworthy than a voice with a lot of tension in it. So, hello, people didn't like it. And hello, people liked it. You recognize, I'm sure you know voices you don't like or you like. And who doesn't know the examples of people you talk to on the phone, and then after a couple of times you see someone you've talked to a couple of times, and then you think, oh, I thought it was totally different person. So you recognize. When I go to the board again, you see, voice and speech are two different things. voice is coming from the vocal cords, the vocal folds. That's where the sound comes from. And if you listen to your own voice, you know that when people listen to you, they hear something else than you yourself hear when you are in your head. So I myself, you'll hear my voice two different ways, through the air and through my bones in my head. But you hear my voice only by air. So if I listen to my voice, I hear a little bit more warmth and lower frequencies in my head than if you listen to me. If you listen to me, you hear a little bit higher voice, a little bit lighter voice than I myself. I think you recognize it, right? That a voice can, um, yeah, can sound very different if you listen to your own records, for example. Okay, speech is something else. Speech is something you do with all the structures above the vocal folds. The vocal folds are in the airway. Here it is, your larynx. And it's incredible how difficult and terrific a larynx works, because the larynx is for survival. It helps you breathing. It helps you make sounds. It helps you swallowing. So when a baby is born, 30% of all cortex activity, 30, is only for this structure. The rest of the body, the legs, the arms, the fingers, everything around it, is the other 70%. So 30% is needed to make this work, because it's about breathing. It's about swallowing. And if we swallow, the larynx moves like this. It goes up like an elevator and it goes forward. Yeah. It goes up and it goes forward. And then this little thing here, the epiglottis, is shutting the airway. And that's exactly what your vocal folds are doing. The primary function of vocal folds is protecting your airway. If you swallow and it doesn't go right, you have to cough, and your vocal folds are closing to press everything that's underneath, press it out of your body to protect the airway from intruders. So, voice and speech are very complicated. You have to have your brain, you need your motorical skills, you need airway, air to move, and your vocal folds are moving like this. They have a wave. You know those giant mantras in the ocean, those black, beautiful mantras in the ocean. They have a wave with their wings. And that's what you see when you see vocal folds moving. They shut like they have a way of closing that's like a wave. And if you speak about chest voice, we tend to think that chest voice is the lower voice, right? When you speak like this, we think this is the chest voice. And you are right. But we also tend to think that head voice is only on the higher notes. Like when I do this, gonna make you an, that song? It starts with head voice. But did you know that the only difference between head and chest voice is the way the vocal folds move, the way they close? Because if I do like Christina Aguilera, I wish I could, but I try. If I do it like Christina Aguilera, she sounds like, eh, eh, eh. And what she does is she changes the way her vocal folds move. So it changes from a complete wave move, complete, total mass, to only the thin side of the vocal folds. And it changes like this. And if you listened very closely, you heard it wasn't a difference in tone of voice. It was only a difference in sound. So, there are people who talk like this all the time, and it sounds like you have to give a shuffle under the butt. We say in Dutch. So if people talk like this and you are a CEO in a company, you don't sound like someone who's very strong and very a leader. Leadership in voice doesn't sound like this. Leadership in voice sounds like this. But there's another difference because in the Netherlands, we had a female politician. She still lives, but she's not political active anymore. And she was talking like this. And if she was talking to the people, she sounded like a gun that's shooting you, and you didn't want to be part of her political party anymore. So if you listen very closely, she was trained. She was taught that a lower voice has more leadership. And yes, that's true. A lower voice does have more leadership than you hear. But if I speak with staccato elements in it, in my speech, staccato, like a mitrailleur. What's a mitrailleur in, like automatic gun, pa, 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 staccato in music, ta, 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 that's staccato. If I do that, all the friendly sounds in my voice disappear. So when I have to talk to people and I have to show leadership, I have to sound like someone with a lower voice, with relaxation in my voice, and I have to blend the words a little bit together. So that sounds more relaxed. We like that very much, but we don't like it if people sound like this, except in very urgent situations. For example, we all know Obama. Obama sounds like, yes, we can. And he does. He speaks with lower voice. He speaks with staccato elements in it, but he stretches his vowels. Yes, we can. So it sounds like you spread all the cards on the table. That's important. Look at it. That's what you do with important sentences, with important words. The more important a word is, the more important you have to make it by spreading it on the table and stretching the vowels. That works very well. Okay, so that's only voice and speech. If I talk about first impression, I was telling you that the voice makes first impression in 1 second. But after 7 seconds, people decide if they like your face and your gestures. There was a research in, I don't know where it was anymore, but they researched children in primary school. And they were researching which children are the most likable, which children have the most, do have the most friends. The children who said to other children that they liked them, that they loved them, that they liked to play with them, those children were the most popular. The children who showed their emotions, who showed their love to other children, they were the most popular. So that's about likability. We know that if someone doesn't show any emotion on the face like this, if I work with news anchors, I have to teach them to speak with a little bit emotion in their face, but not too much. But if I exaggerate this and I don't move my eyebrows, I don't move my jaw anymore, and I'm not using my muscles in the face anymore, I look very harsh. I look a little bit distant, uh, as if I'm not interested in you at all. So the moment I work with news anchors, they are taught to use their muscles a little bit in the cheeks and to talk like this with enough movement in the jaw. Because if we move the jaw enough, that makes us believe what people say. If I'm not moving my jaw, it's like I'm telling you, oh, I think about what I think, but I don't tell you about it. I'm not telling you. I'm keeping it for myself. And if I use my jaw and speak to you like this, you can understand and feel that I feel what I'm feeling. And I want to tell you and share with you what I'm feeling. So that's so important. Using your eyebrows, using your facial muscles. I'm out of breath. Um, that's important. And in 7 seconds, we can see if we like and trust somebody. If that person is telling us, I think you are worth it to move, you are worth it to talk to, I like you. So that's what we tell with our face. So you can forget the old-fashioned saying that this is a closed way of communicating. It's not true. It's rubbish. Because if I sit like this and my face is like this, you can see I'm very relaxed. I listen to you. I'm really open to what you're saying, and I'm listening in a comfortable way. If I have the same position with my arms and I look like this, I listen with this face, you feel something completely different. So it's the face that tells the story, what the body is doing. Okay? So in many courses, I teach people how to listen with their face, what your listening face is telling when somebody is talking. You know those parties where I have it sometimes. There aren't any parties anymore in this time, but suppose they come again. They're yeah. If if there's a a group of people there and they're talking and having fun, and I'm at a party and talking to someone I don't like very much, it's the jaw that makes them speak more or less. So remember, if you like to quit talking to somebody in front of you, just close your jaw and give them the face that gives the message. It's this is it. I'm not very interested anymore. I'm very polite, but this is it. And if you do this, it's the what people look like when they are in front of a choir. The dirigent. What's the dirigent in English? The director? Yeah, the director. And he sounds in his face. So it's something that and it gives enthusiasm. So be aware that when you speak online or when you're listening online and you want to feel like a group, like in this situation, it's very important that we can A, see your face, and B, can read your face a little bit. So the light on your face, the how close it is, it's all very important. You can see that I'm in a studio where this is a close-up, and you can read every wrinkle in my face and everything I do with my mouth. And now I have to look at you in the camera while I don't see you. And that's very difficult at first because when it's about first impression on camera, you have to look in the camera like it's the eye of the person you're talking to, but it's a black hole. So I have to love the black hole I'm looking into and be aware of what I'm doing with my face and my voice. Okay. Um, yeah, voice, speech. I was telling about that. Your face and gestures, very important. That's the first impression. That's why I wrote first. It's the first thing people see and hear. The language and the story, they come afterwards. The language and the story you are telling, of course, it is so important because if I tell rubbish, you're after a couple of minutes, you think, well, I'm not listening anymore. So that's true. The content is very, very, very important, the most important thing. But the first impression is uh, through voice and gestures. So if you know that, um, it's well, it's very funny to tell you that we are with French people, German people, Canadian people, Dutch people. Our language and our voice are connected. The most of you don't understand Belgium, but I'm going to speak like Belgian people do. They sound like this. Ah wel, ik ga u iets vertellen over de menselijke stem. En als je Vlaams spreekt, dan gebruikt je uw stem met laagte en met lucht. Belgian people tend to speak with much more articulation than Dutch people do. When I speak German, ja, das ist auch richtig. Ja, das ist richtig, ja. Frauen in Deutschland sprechen mit mir ein. Das geht like, das geht, ja, das geht schon ein bisschen. Ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, das geht schon. When you hear me talking in English and German, you hear a different voice, not only a different language, but you hear a different voice. If I do this in English, it sounds like I'm sounding a little bit like a German woman now with lower voice, more staccato elements in it. I'm sounding like a Belgian woman now with more air in my voice and with a little bit lower voice. I'm sounding like a Dutch woman now with a little bit more higher notes in my voice. That's very Dutch, typically Dutch. And English, it's really like going up and going down. In England, they go up and down on the hill. Yeah. So vocal performance and language are very connected. You can imagine that people who are immigrating to another country or have to get used to another culture in working space, they really have to adjust to the vocal performance of people. And mostly people say, oh, my throat is hurting. Can you please help me? And then I ask, did you change working environment? And they say, yeah. Or did you change language? Yeah, I changed. So yeah, I work with a weather woman from South Africa. She moved to the Netherlands and she has to work as to give the weather forecast on the afternoon in Dutch television. And she was South African and she had to speak Dutch. So her throat was hurting all the time in the beginning and it was very difficult for her. Okay. How's the time? Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the clock right now. Okay. I've told you about voice, speech, face, gestures, language, the story. Okay. I give you a little hint about giving a great impression with your story. You know the fairy tale about Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood, Roodkapje. Yeah, you know her. You know the other persons in the fairy tale. Yeah. characters, the other characters are the wolf, the hunter, and of course, Granny, Grandma, and of course, Little Red Riding Hood. So Little Red Riding Hood is the main subject of the story, the main subject. Granny, Grandma, is the victim of the subject, or the victim of the danger in the story, the victim that what is happening if you don't do what you're talking about, or what happens if you don't interfere, or who will be the victim. The hunter is what's changing the subject, or what's a solution, what's the solution to the subject you're telling about. And of course, the wolf is the danger, the dangers of the subjects you're speaking about. So if you take care, if you your audience is always very critical. So if you speak like people who have been on a holiday, and then we went to, and then we went to, and then we went to, your audience is falling asleep. So you have to give contrast, like different angles in your story. And it's, of course, it's very obvious, but you have to think about it, even in a small talk, even in a little speech, or in a little story. Please show other sides of the story, the dangers, the risks, the solutions, the possibilities. So people are listening, like if they want to say, yeah, but, those people, you won't give them a chance, because you tell all the buts. Okay, that's it's not great English, but you know what I mean. All right. I think, about the audience, I think it's the last thing I'm telling, and then we're going to some questions. And the last thing about audience is, your audience, if you're standing in front of an audience, they will always look a little bit. I'm a singer. I've been on many stages, and I think at first, I think I died on stage, because it felt like really, really, I was very nervous and thinking what all people would think about me. So if you want to make a good impression, it's very important that you change your mental state from what do they think about me to what can I give them? What can I give to people? What can I give? And if you are thinking about what it is you have to give, it changes your whole perception. Then your audience can be a group of people you like or you love a little bit. I always make contact from the heart to the people I talk to, because if I don't do that, there won't be any real message in what I'm telling. So that's very important. And also, if you're standing on a stage or in front of a camera, there's always a group of people who have their listening phase. You know what I'm talking about now? They shut down their listening phase. So it doesn't tell you anything about how they feel about you. It doesn't say a thing. It's only that they are not aware of how they communicate, how they like you. They were not the most popular kids in the school. They look like this in your audience. They are not aware of their faces. And that's the only thing they're telling. I'm not aware of my face. So don't be afraid of people who look like this. Perhaps you're very, it can be a lot of things. And there's a rule in our presentation, between presentation coaches. 1/3 of your audience is a yeser. Yes, they look very enthusiastic. They're nodding. Their eyes are wide open. They see you. They want to be here. They like it. 1/3 of your audience doesn't feel well, have to go somewhere, are in a hurry. Perhaps they don't, they experience something awful today, but they have to let it go and they can't. You know how we all are. We can be like that. And 1/3 of your audience is a perhaps, it might be, could be, yes, but. Those people, they want to have facts. They want to be, um, yeah, they want to be conquered by your story. They want to be, um, yeah, you have to have good facts to tell them before they say yes. So if you look at the yeser in your audience, you choose 3 yesers. If you're on stage, choose one on the left, one in the middle, and one on the right. Those people with those wide eyes nodding because they like it, that's the audience you're looking at. And you serve them all sides of them. So you look to the left, look to the middle, look to the right, and then you feel like, okay, I look at those 3 people. I don't see the perhaps or the yes, butter or the knower. I don't look at them. So that's something you can have in mind. Okay. I'm talking a lot. I want to tell you the first impression, the most important thing you have to remember to make that smashing first impression. It is 1, the smile. If you don't have a smile on your face, people stop watching. Please give them a smile in the first 7 seconds. Please do, because if you do, they keep watching. Intonation. I wrote it, I didn't write it the right way. Intonation. There's a secret in intonation. If intonation is very mildly, I'm talking like this and a little bit up and a little bit down and a little bit up and a little bit down, it is not urgent. If I speak with urgency, my notes go up and down. So listen to news anchors and you will hear this. Vandaag in Nederland, op 3 mei 2021, is brand uitgebroken in Den Haag. That's what you hear. The sound is going up and down. So that's urgency in intonation. So please give people a smile, give them intonation, and give them gestures. If you don't move your body, your hands, your arms, nothing will happen. You won't inspire people. They have to have something to watch. So those 3 things, if you note it, smile, intonation, gestures, that's the most important thing to remember if you want to give a good first impression. I think that's about about the things I want to tell you a little bit for now, but I want to give you the time to ask questions because I think I can imagine you have a lot of questions.
Yes, of course we have questions. And I can imagine we all are in front of the mirror tonight and practice. So I was wondering, Debbie, for me it looks like you have empathy to all kind of people and you understand everyone and no matter what culture, gender, or anything, for me it looks like you understand all the people. And why did you start coaching people in how presenting themselves?
Why? Oh, that's a nice question. Well, it has to do with my mission because I really feel deeply. It has to do with my childhood. There was a lot of communicational problems. There were very much problems in my family. And I felt as a child, oh, I wish people would understand each other, would listen to each other. I really felt that awareness in communication would change relations, would change, would change a lot of things. And I felt like this is something that's close to my heart. Yeah.
Wow, thank you.
Question.
Yes.
Question? Yes.
Yeah.
The question is about the delicate balance between being authentic and being not authentic, about being plastic and about being not plastic. And I'd like to hear what you can say about it. Give an example. I come on stage, something happened, my dog died last hour. I don't feel happy at all. Now I put on this smile, like the American smile. How, to what extent will people believe my put up smile, my authentic smile, if it's not authentic?
Okay, I'm going to tell you, but because that happens to presenters on television also, right? So first of all, every time you learn something new, it doesn't feel authentical. Never. So if you would be the same authentical person you were all the time, you were still laying in your wieg. Wat is de wieg? Wieg? In your crib.
Cradle.
You were, because so you had to change something in yourself to learn new things, to learn new skills. And your question is very good because it doesn't feel authentical to smile when you don't feel like it. So the question is, do you really have to smile like that if you don't feel like that? Or can you change it by telling the audience a little bit about what's going on and make connection from what's going on with your audience by telling a little bit? And then you made a connection. After you made the connection about that, your whole relationship with the audience changes. Because the audience will feel they have spiegelneuronen, mirror neurons. I never translated that word in English. Mirror neurons. They can relate to you because we are human. And if you speak like, I've experienced a pretty tough thing today, but I really like to tell you a story about, or I really like to connect with you about this subject. So if I'm having a hard time, so you can ask people to connect with you. But if you are on television and you're a news anchor, you cannot, right? You cannot say, my dog died today. Okay. So if that happens, people rely on their skills. You did it all the time. It's your job. You're used to do that. So it's not difficult to make that connection with your audience through the camera and do what you always like to do. And that's why it's so important to do the job you like to do. Please do the things you like to do because you can do it with your heart. And if you're not doing it with your heart, quit doing it.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Katrina.
Hi, how are you? Thank you. Thank you, Claudia, for inviting me. I'm from Vancouver, Canada. And Debbie, I was really excited about this talk. And I was taking a lot of notes, so I wasn't really distracted. I was actually typing a lot of notes. So since I was a little girl, I have had this very deep voice. So even as a small kid, you know, I was just like so little. And when I opened my voice, people were shocked as to how deep it is. But I found that over the years, like I'm struggling to use this voice, meaning it tires me easily. So do you have any advice for me?
Yes. Okay. Well, I have a lot of questions in my mind about it. So don't hesitate to contact me afterwards. It's okay for me. If you want to speak about it a little bit more, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
But for now, there's a lot I have to know because do you want to change your voice because of the pitch? if you do that, you're not, your voice is not able to move in a natural way. So we have to know if it's natural or not for your voice to sound like that. And it's very funny because in a research, it was shown that people with a lower voice had more salary and they were leaders in bigger organizations. So it can be a big win for you to have this voice, but it's awful if doesn't feel right. So I'm showing you a little bit, a little funny thing. I don't know if you know it, but it's called Lux Vox. It's from Finland, and it's going all over the world. And it's a little tube. You buy it in the store where you can buy all kinds of things for your vijver. What is vijver? Where the fish are in your garden. The pond. Yes. Okay. In the pond, you go to the part where they sell these little tubes, and 1 centimeter diameter, and you blow with your voice on in water. You do like this. And if you do that, your well, I wrote a book about it, but it's not translated in English. It's 50 Shades of Distortion, and it's about vocal folds and voice and influence of your voice and everything you have to know about it, but it's not in English. So I have to translate some things for you. If you do that practice 7 times a day, 3 minutes, your voice will heal. So that's what you can do. And the second thing is the larynx is going up all the time. It's like an elevator, and it's going up when you swallow, it's going up when you speak, and it's going up when you sing. The only time your larynx is going down is when you yawn. And we always are taught that yawning is like you're boring or you're bored, right? And people say, that's not polite to yawn. But it's very good to yawn. It's very good for your voice. So please yawn, and don't do it like this. You know, people when they yawn and don't want to show it, please yawn behind your hand and open your jaw, and the larynx will stretch down, and the esopharynx, the part where the air goes in, will stretch out, and your vocal folds like it very much. And there's so much more I'd like to ask you, but it's the paramedical part of my job. So don't hesitate to ask me some questions.
That's
Perhaps
really
Claudia
great.
can, yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, very well.
I have the contrary problem to Katharina. I'm very tall, 182, and I have a relatively high voice. And if I attend to it, it's okay, but often it pitches up and, well, it doesn't sound very good. I notice if I do some deep breathing before I start speaking, it helps a little bit. But do you have any other suggestion?
Yes, first of all, your voice is not that high. It's not as high as you think it is. But I know what you mean, because I teach women in top positions and they don't want to sound too high and too emotional, because we compare higher voices with more emotional voices, and that's not what you feel. It's not congruent. Congruent, is it an English word? Congruent to what it is the role you're playing, the part you are playing in a company. So you want to sound like someone with leadership, and you have leadership. So it's starting to pitch higher when you speak louder. So women who are working in a very masculine environment, they hear louder voices, because men do have more muscle in their voice, and they sound louder than women. So the first thing you have to be aware of is that you don't speak too loud. Don't speak softly, and then your voice will lower a little bit.
That's what I notice. I have the tendency to speak too loud, and then it really goes high.
Yes,
And
yes,
if
yes,
I'm a dentist, and if I try to be calming, it goes down automatically.
yes.
Yeah.
So use more air in your throat, like you're sighing a little bit, yeah, like that. And if you use that and speak softly, your voice will sound like it's hypnotizing to your patients. And of course, it's allowed to contact if you want to know more.
Yeah, I would love to. Thank you.
I have another
Okay.
question. If I can.
Sorry, I didn't know who was speaking.
Yeah, here. I'm
Hi.
good. Hi. I like to I have a question. Sometimes I am not so confident about my voice, the tone. I was often said, you know, in the Dutch, with an aardappel, with a potato in my mouth. And that always disturbed me and always hesitated to me to talk, although I had higher positions in companies, but I always was a little bit shy to speak. How can I manage that better?
Okay. Yeah. Your phone was ringing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I know
Yeah.
this. I have
Yeah.
to.
Well,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. The fact that the throat has so many features, your tongue, your cheeks, the way your verhemelte is moving, it makes the sound more open or closed. And in your question, I hear it's a little bit closed sometimes. So that makes a little bit tension, and you can totally control those features in the throat if you know about it. So it's not very difficult, and that's what I teach people. And I didn't tend to sound like this. Ik kom uit Brabant, sprak altijd zo vroeger met een heel erg Brabants accent. So I spoke like that when I was young. So you can change your voice, and it's very easy. It's not that difficult. So you can learn. Yeah.
I have been raised in Limburg, so in principle I can speak like the South, but I don't. I never did, because they always were saying something to me that I was a Dutch from North, because I was born in Delft, and so I refused completely to speak Limburgs. So that's a very strange thing, and I had also a very strong, very articulated Dutch, and I think I do the same in other languages like English or French or German, the same way. But I sometimes I do not like the tone, so I think by myself, how can I be? Because if I listen back, I think, oh my gosh, is this my way of talking? And I would like to be convincing and straightforward. And I'm a really good teacher, so I have a calm and easy voice. But
well, it's very easy. If you change the tension in the throat and bring it to the front of your mouth, that's what I teach people. Then people sound more relaxed and speaking more clearly, and it sounds more open and relaxed, and that makes the voice more credible to listen to, more relaxed to listen to, and then you can practice that. It's not that difficult. You can learn. And also I hear a couple of mental conventions you have to change.
Maybe.
What about the idea to sometimes just say something and record it and do it every day for a few minutes? I think there can be a development.
Yes, it sure can be. So if you know what you are noticing, what you are practicing, and then listen to the result, you can connect what you did with what we'll hear. And I have one tip for everybody. bring your hands above your ears like this, and bring your palms of your hand not closed against your cheeks, but towards your mouth. And if you speak like that, practice like this, you hear yourself as everybody else does.
Oh.
So say January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. You go ahead, practice. Everybody. January, February, March, April, May, June, July. You can hear your voice in a much different way. And that's what people hear on the radio when they use a headphone, and they hear their voices in the headphone, and it has a different sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you can practice like that.
It's much lower than I thought.
Yeah.
Could that be?
And that's what men always say. Women
Amazing.
say, yeah.
Just can't believe it. Do I really sound like this?
Yeah. You sound like that.
Just one more question, because you say you're a singer. I sing as well on stage. And I do have sometimes, especially nowadays, when we have double shifts when we perform. I did that last year, just before we were still allowed to. We had a double shift in singing, and I sort of stretched my voice too much during the first session, and I tried to sort of recover. So I have some things in my mind what I could do possibly, which one is that what you just showed with the bottle and the straw.
Yeah.
Would you have any more advice how to get my voice back in half an hour during the break, so that I can be fresh there again on stage? Because that's my main stress when I have to do two shifts at one time. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because if I have to sing for 3 hours, I feel the same thing. What voice do you sing? Are you
a lot on
bass?
falsetto?
Falsetto.
I'm a
Okay.
tenor, but a lot
Okay.
on falsetto.
Yeah, then I know why it is. Okay. If you close your nose, and it's not a joke. You close your nose and you do like this. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's happening, I tell you in a quick, what's happening when you sing tenor is all the muscles stretch your larynx
Upwards.
yeah, thank you. So if you do that for a couple of hours, it needs one thing, and that's stretching down. So yawning and doing this is relaxing the velum.
Yes.
And if this is relaxing, the velum is where you look in somebody's mouth and you see the little huig, and then and then the bows, the bows of your throat, and it's connected to the larynx. And if it, Dan will give us you can see it in this picture, and you see the left picture. You see what I was explaining, and it's stretching upward. So if you do this, it's going down and it's relaxing. And if you do that for a couple of minutes, you're all over the problem, and you can go on with singing.
Thanks a lot.
And water, people think water is, you can moisture your vocal folds by drinking now, but that's not true. Because if you could drink and your moisture your vocal folds, you would die, because you cannot pour water into your lungs, right? So water, 16 hours later, it is in the mucus around the vocal folds. So please, when you have to sing tomorrow, you have to drink today.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, drink today. Cheers. Okay. Well, I hope this was, if Claudia, if they have any questions, please let people contact you, and perhaps you can refer them to my email address when they have questions.
Yes, of course. And we will send an information email afterwards to everyone.
Great.
And also the link to the recording, then you can watch it back. And it was really a pleasure to have you with us, Debbie, because we learned a lot from you. And yes, we are all sure we need to learn more about it. And we will come back to you about it. Thank you so much for your time.
And thank you so much.
Wonderful.
And have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you, Debbie.
Bye-bye.
Sunshine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.